So Nike have decided that, well, I've got like several issues with this story, and I'll just explain to them very. Apparently, what it was is that Nike released an England strip that had the cross of Saint George on the back of the neck, where it had a different color scheme, and all of a sudden people were shouting to the rooftops that this was woke, and it was, what are you doing to our flag and stuff like that. Well, here I am to sort of like give my 2 cents on this for what it is. First of all, it's your flag, huh? Well, what about the other people in this country? The ones who are also English who don't agree with it, who don't agree that they're taking advantage of the flag. Is it still their flag as well? They are citizens of this country, so does that not does that not mean anything either? So that's the one thing. Because again, it's not just your flag; it's our flag. Depending on how you see it, it is what it is. Well, that might bring me on to the second point: is that who said this is meant to be the flag of Saint George? Who said this is originally just meant to be a cross, like the cross of Saint George, but it only resembles it in that sense, and they just put colours on top of it. Who said that's actually meant to represent? That's meant to be Saint George's flag. I mean, if it's got England's badge on it, for the football and stuff like that, people will know what that looks like. So it's not exactly as if we don't really know what an England strip looks like. Third, a couple of years ago, I think there was like an England strip. It wasn't for football, but it had sort of like the mostly blue for its colours, with blue and white, not like the Scottish flag, but and it was mostly the Conservative Party because of course they would be shouting about this, about the modern strip, and they saying how it looks woke and how it looks just not very nice and stuff like that, and they say it's just like leftist propaganda, but they weren't screaming when there was a blue version of the Union Jack, or of Saint, or of the flag of Saint George. So you tell me, ladies and gentlemen, is it just because it's something that inconveniences, or it's something that the Conservatives can just use to throw out nonsense, this, that, and the other? I'm not particularly very interested if people consider it woke or not. If it's getting under the skin of people like the Daily Mail and the Daily Express of the Conservative Party, then it must be doing something right. Because, and call this what you may, ladies and gentlemen, but anytime anything really crops up with the Daily Mail or the Express, or people or the Daily Telegraph, who show sympathy and say that there's something drastically wrong, and the Sun newspaper who say there's something drastically wrong with this country because we've turned left wing and woke and all that, I have to automatically insert the fact that maybe they're just worried, and maybe they're just trying to force a privatized American agenda, which, call it what you may, ladies and gentlemen, but it's the sort of thing that makes you think that actually, no, maybe it's not nearly as bad as they're trying to convey. So I'm very, very skeptical about what anybody who supports the Conservatives will say in the context of, the news and stuff like that, which is pretty bad as well when you have to vehemently and very, very seriously have to scale the dubious nature of whenever a story is written by newspapers. But it's just the sort of thing you have to do. It's because of the reputation that these papers have and are continuing to have in later life. The next thing I wanted to point out, ladies and gentlemen, is that this strip has other issues as well. It's got nothing to do with politics. It's got nothing to do with the flag. It's got nothing to do with the fact of the colours and all the rest of it. Apparently, this strip, the actual strip, not including shorts or boots or socks or anything like that, is £120. That's the sort of thing that because here's the thing: in the real world, ladies and gentlemen, the real world that you and I exist in, ladies and gentlemen, 120 quid is actually quite a lot of money. And you might be wanting to say to yourself, well, who in the real world is actually going to go out of their way to buy something like that? And that's the sort of thing that, unfortunately, at the end of the day, is the sort of thing that will motivate a business to do anything. Is that if it doesn't sell, then they'll recall it immediately. The other thing I kind of wanted to point out, and bear with me for the moment, ladies and gentlemen, is that before people go knocking down the doors of Nike and demanding to know what the hell they've done, the FA would have had to have passed their seal of approval of this as well. So if it's good enough for the FA, then well, what's the issue again? I mean, I know again the pricing is like outrageous. Don't get me wrong, but then there's also the issue. Just it's what exactly are people mad about, really? If you don't like it, then don't buy it. But don't go around saying that the color scheme is meant to be woke. If that's what you really think, maybe the people behind it will come out tomorrow and say that it wasn't meant to be about left-leaning politics or socialism or anything like that whatsoever. Maybe they just listen, because if the strip was meant to be like a very limited discount or something like that, that would have been fine. I don't really think people would have had an issue with it if it was something that was meant to be limited, or even if it was in like honor of like say breast cancer research and the entire strip was pink and it had like an actual ribbon on its arm. People would have no issue with that whatsoever, especially at the knowledge that 120 quid may be a bit dear, but if it was being sponsored by a charity, then the money and the proceeds absolutely should have just 100% gone to charity. It stands to reason, ladies and gentlemen, and it's not particularly a bad idea. Because once again, ladies and gentlemen, I'm looking at this and wondering to myself, what exactly are people mad about? What exactly is the issue that's going on? Are people just mad because they immediately think that it's disrespectful to the flag or anything like that, or is it just from the fact that again it's just something that's completely inconvenient, isn't going to actually affect anybody's lives, and well, that's the end of it. That's the thing I have with this whole story, ladies and gentlemen, is that it's a non-story. I'm not particularly very interested in it. I'm not actually going to go out of my way to buy the strip. And, well, there you are, ladies and gentlemen. That's the end of the story. If you're really that triggered by this, then, again, don't buy the strip. Nobody's forcing you or ordering you to buy it. That's the sort of thing that will force any company to, like, reconsider, is that if they do something that you absolutely do not like and cannot show much else but contempt for, then don't buy it. It is as simple as that.